I actually only have one question. I was going through the chairman's report, which JV shared earlier. Ang napansin ko po was most of the interventions are really for the poorest of the poor, the most vulnerable. Do you have anything that you can offer to the middle class because they're also affected?
Well, pag sinuspend natin yung excise tax as well as the possibility of suspending VAT, that will hit everyone, the middle class, even the rich segment. So that's why we have to study that very carefully, especially in VAT. VAT is very complex. In fact, marami akong nababasa ng op-ed galing sa iba-ibang economists, accountants, iba-iba rin yung kanilang kasi nga it's complicated. And so the most straightforward would be excise tax, and that will hit basically middle class all the way to the upper segments of our income bracket. So kasama siya doon. Pero if you look at our recommendation, meron kaming recommendation for minimum wage earners. Typically, ang ating mga social amelioration are poverty level and below. So we also recommended minimum wage earners kasi near poor sila and susceptible sila sa inflation shock.
So what about subsidies for the middle class?
Pwedeng pag-aralan yan. Malaki kasi ang middle class. In fact, if you look at the definition ng DepDev, wala talagang strict definition ng middle class. Kasi very broad siya. Merong middle, middle low, middle high, very broad siya. So pwedeng pag-aralan kung sinong susceptible sa inflation shock. At importante dito yung pag tinamaan ka ng inflation shock, kaagad bababa yung income mo or pwede kang pumunta sa poverty segment.
Sir, yung with the last two hearings, it was established already that the excise tax relief may not actually be enough to compensate for the effect nung oil price increases kasi nga masyado na siyang malaki. What do you make that proposal or the suggestion from the oil industry na VAT removal will be done upon import para wala na silang input VAT and so as to streamline the process and mawala na yung sinasabi ninyo na at sinasabi ng ibang experts din na mahirap tanggalin yung VAT kasi nga mawawala yung
Pambangga.
yung pambangga, yung essentially yung input and output mawawalan ng saysay, so what do you make of their suggestion upon entry, upon import, tanggal na yun para wala ng input-output?
Kasi pag binili, ito yung complexity ng VAT. Binili kasi nila, tatanggalin yung VAT. Tapos, ibebenta nila yan sa, let's say, sa trader. Kasi meron pang mga intermediary. Sila naman may output VAT. So, in other words, walang kabangga yung intermediary. And then, pag binenta naman ng intermediary sa retail, tapos yung retailer magbebenta ng may output, wala rin siyang kabangga. Ang problema, pag tinanggal mo naman yung buong segment, paano mo mahihimay yung oil portion versus, let's say, the other input? Like for example, pag nag-haul ka ng gasolina, kasama na kasi yung hauling doon sa input. Hindi mo naman masesegregate magkano yung hauling, magkano. So it's complex in that sense. But I'm not saying naman it's not possible. Baka administratively lang, it's very complex. So that's why ang aming recommendation is for BIR to study it because in concept nga pwede nga tanggalin pero administratively naman napakahirap. Baka hindi rin ma-realize natin yung savings from VAT kasi pag wala kang kabangga, kinakalat yan nakita yan natin sa medicines, diba? Sa medicines, in-exempt natin. Pero in actual savings from medicines, kinakalat nila yan sa ibang products, let's say sa grocery or sa non-essential. So kumakalat siya. But in this case, sa oil kasi, wala naman siya ibang product. So ikakalat niyan sa, baka ipatong lang niya yan sa oil in some form.
Okay, sir, my final question before I turn over to Sally. Itong chairman's report, is this going to be transformed into a bill, into a supplemental budget? Ano pong magiging legislative output nito?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In fact, kaya namin pinili Chairman's preliminary report because of the time element. It's very difficult to gather signatures right now, but we need to make recommendation. In fact, yung Senate Resolution 45, ang kanyang mandate naman is to recommend and also give their findings on the National Contingency Plan. That's why our first recommendation is to create that National Contingency Plan. But in the absence of the National Contingency Plan, nagbigay na kami ng recommendation based on the hearings and based on our findings during the hearings and also all the submissions. So ang output nito, kasi nga may time element, ang output nito as we go along is, number one, we'll have a committee report, and all the committee report will have all the formal recommendations. And then number two, some of the findings na aproban ng committee report, we can translate namin yan to legislative outputs, such as, for example, amendment of the oil deregulation law, or yung iba, kung kakailanganin supplemental budget or a possible bayanihan 3.
Possible bayanihan 3.
Kasi malaki yung amounts eh. If you notice, yung amounts ranging from, doon lang ito scan ko lang. I'll give you a very extreme example na compute na yung sa pag itutuloy natin yung Pantawid Pasada, ang computation namin is from 7.6 billion to 61 billion doon sa targeted fuel subsidy. So Pantawid Pasada siya o pwede siyang direct fuel subsidy. So ang laki ng range na, kaya kung umabot na tayo to that point, we might be looking at a supplemental budget or even a bayanihan.
Yung total niya would be, you have a ballpark figure?
Doon sa initial computation namin, lahat-lahat, worst case scenario is about 400 billion.
Wow.
Oh, malaki.
That's like 20% of national budget, I think. Or that's
malaki siya. Worst case na yon. Talagang, let's say, wala na talagang pumapasok na langis. That's the worst case. Tapos bumaba siya, that's the worst case scenario.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I'll turn over the floor to Celi Bueno.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Celi.
Sir, nabigyan na ng copy ng chairman's report lahat po ng member ng Protect Committee?
Yes, pinadala namin this morning.
And may mga initial feedback po ba? Acceptable sa kanila ito pong laman ng chairman's report?
Wala pang feedback from the senators. We reached out to their mga point person nila. So wala pang feedback. Pero based marami dito are also comments and recommendations by the senators themselves. Like for example, yung PAT kay Senator Loren at kay Senator Bangyan. Of course, yung negotiations kay Senator Marcoleta. Yung agree, most of it came from Senator Kiko. So marami dito are from the hearings themselves.
And then sir, when do you intend to furnish copy po sa Malacanang?
Actually, nag-furnish na kami this morning din. Pinadala namin, we were advised to send it to the Executive Secretary. So, nagpadala kami ng copy sa Malacanang through the Executive Secretary, and nagpadala rin kami doon sa mga secretaries directly involved with the situation, like DOE, DSWD, DOTR, DA, DepDev. So, ito yung mga directly involved. So, nagpadala rin kami sa kanila.
Sir, doon sa marami kasing mga short, medium, and long-term recommendations yung chairman's report. May lang po doon na parang initially may tugunay Malacanang, like doon sa high-level government-to-government negotiations para matulungan po yung mga oil company na makabili nga ng supply. Kahapon po inutusan na ng Pangulo si Foreign Affairs Secretary Lazaro, di po ba, na makipag negotiate doon sa ambassador ng Iran?
Maganda yun at papasalamat ako sa ating Pangulo at binuksan niyo yung possibility na yun. Nakita ko kasi iba-ibang bansa, kanya-kanyang negotiation with Iran. Japan, nakikipag-negotiate. Thailand, nakikipag-negotiate. Malaysia, so kanya-kanyang negotiation. Ito naman ay para mapadaan yung ating mga cargo na naipit sa Strait of Hormuz. Sinabi naman ng statement ng Iran, basta hindi nila kaaway, ay padadaanin nila yung cargo. So marami tayong naipit doon. So sana mapagbigyan na padaanin at hindi atakihin. And then importante rin kung meron nga kasi ang Iran rin is also exporter ng oil. At this time, kung pwede tayong maka-negotiate ng oil sa kanila, mas maganda rin. This time kasi, ang importante natin, sariling interest natin. Pwedeng tumupod yung ating ekonomiya. So lahat ng possibility sa Iran, even with Russia, for now, dapat humingi tayo ng supply from them.
So sir, ano yung ina-expect natin kung sakaling i-consider ng Malacanang itong mga nakalagay nyo na mga short, medium, and long-term na mga recommendations?
Dito sa page 2 ng executive summary, number 3 in the short term, I'm advising the DOE to already start putting in place a framework for rationing or rationing fuel. Maraming bansa na nagra-ration ng fuel. Pinakabago is Indonesia. And napanood ko yung statement ng ating Pangulo this morning, tsaka tinitignan ko yung report, nagpadala ng report sa akin ng DOE. 51 days yung ating inventory on the average. LPG being the shortest, 34 days. So, in other words, and then nakita ko may mga padating, no? Na kanina sinabi ng ating Pangulo, may mga padating. Pero kahit na binilang mo yung mga padating, it's good for additional 10 days. So, to extend the number of days, maghanda na tayo for rationing. In fact, kung hindi pa rin tayo makasecure ng more than 10 days, ang advice ko nga, mag-ration na tayo for non-essential services. Dahil hindi tayo pwede mag-ration kung malapit na maubos yung gasolina natin or maubos yung crudo eh. As early as now, mag-ration na tayo para ma-extend natin from 51 days. Kung kaya, ma-extend yan to another 90 days or even longer. Dahil hindi natin pwedeng hindi tayo pwedeng mag-ration pag malapit na maubos yun. Lalo tayo magkakaroon ng problema.
So sir, kapag nagkaroon ng fuel rationing, it means limited na yung pwedeng mabili ng tao ng gasolina. Kumbaga may mga limitation yung pwedeng nilang bilhin.
Yes, I know it's unpopular. Hindi siya popular at this point, but this is reality. Hanggang 51 days lang ang ating gasolina. Pag inantay pa natin yan ng malapitan, magkakaproblema tayo. So mas maganda pang i-extend natin yan ng mas mahaba para makasurvive at makatawid tayo. May mga kausap ako mga private sector companies and they're open sila dahil alam nila importante yun. So yung mga essentials, of course, dapat protektahan yung katulad ng mga ambulansya, bombero, police, defense, Philippine Coast Guard. Pero kung mga non-essential naman, pang mga leisure, pwede na tayong sa aking pag-analisa, pwede na tayong mag-ration.
Sir, isa rin sa recommendation nyo habang nasa state of national energy emergency ang bansa, pag-aralan yung pag-impose ng price cap sa produktong petrolyo. Ano po yan? Aside doon sa possible suspension and reduction excise tax, lagyan pa ng price cap.
Actually, meron na tayong price cap on rice, imported rice. Nakita ko sa statement ng ating Pangulo. So, yung imposition naman ng price cap on fuel, ito last resort rin to. Hindi natin pwedeng gamitin right away. But possible na pwedeng gamitin. Kasi, I'll give you a very concrete example. Ang LPG, 2 weeks ago is 9 pesos per kilo. Ngayon, 40 pesos na per kilo. Alam naman natin lahat ng karinderya, lahat ng mga household consumers, almost 90% ng household consumers, LPG, saka mga negosyo, makakaapekto yan. So we need to study that possibility of a price cap, lalo na kung mayroon mga nag-speculate or nag-hoard.
And then sir, may possible recommendation yung amendment sa oil deregulation law. Ano to, para magkaroon ng provision for consumer protection?
Yeah, consumer protection and also government protection actually. No, kasi nga hindi natin alam kung sinasamantala ng mga oil players itong situation na ito by selling at a high price. Ngayon kasi sinasabi nila hindi naman sila kumikita or tama lang kita nila. Pero yun na nga, no? Common sense dictates, lumang inventory, binibenta mo ng mataas, di napakataas yung markup or halos doble nga yung ibang computation. So, kailangan ang gobyerno meron ring ample power to get information. Hindi naman natin sinasabi i-regulate but get information. At kung na-prove na merong profiteering, then tsaka kasuhan. Ngayon kasi hindi ka makakaso ko, wala kang information. Hindi mo alam kung magkano talaga binibenta.
And then last na lang sir, so ngayon dahil ito ay chairman's report, sabi niyo nga depende pa sa magiging development. For now, wala naman po kayo nakita na necessity na magpatawag ulit ng panibagong hearing yung Protect Committee.
Meron, Sally, we're looking at the following week to call a hearing. Alam ko, slow season na to this week. So, nakikipag-coordinate kami sa DOE kung ano ba yung mga recent developments. Pero humingi kami ng, magpapatawag kami ng isa pang hearing, possible next week or the week after, para makakuha ng updates.
Okay, so sir, ang mga invited pa rin dyan, yung mga cabinet members ng mga concerned government agencies?
Yes, tama.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ang susunod, si Daniel ba?
Hi, sir.
Hi, Daniel.
Sir, yung susugan ko lang yung tanong ni Tita Selly, yung sa price cap. In case lang, doable ba talaga ito, sir? Tsaka baka magkaroon ng, di ba, baka magkaroon ng effect naman doon sa mga oil company. And kung man, sir, magkano yung nakikita nyo sa price?
Tama ka dyan, no? Kaya sabi ko nga last resort. In fact, hindi dapat gamitin yan on a regular basis kasi ang effect naman yan, walang magbebenta. Magkakaroon tayo lalo ng shortage. So, yan, malaliman na pag-aanalisa yan kung kailan mo gagamitin. Normally, ginagamit yan kung napakabilis ng pagtaas ng local prices. Local prices. At mayroong mga nag-hoarding, mayroong nag-profiteering. So, ginagamit yan sa ganyan. In fact, ang Korea, ganyan ang ginagawa nila. Meron silang price cap. Thailand, may price cap din sila. Pero ang price cap ng Thailand and Korea, merong reimbursement. So, ibig sabihin, kung ang company ay pinigilan mong tumaas ang presyo, gobyerno ang sasagot doon sa pagtaas. Sa atin, wala kasi ganyan. True cost tayo. No? So, kaya dapat pag-aralan mabuti kung kailan mo i-impose yan. Pero ang punto ko naman, nasa may kapangyarihan na ang Pangulo dyan, lalo na nung in-implement na yung executive order ng Pangulo. So meron na siyang power to do that in case lang na talagang tumaas pa ng todo-todo yung presyo.
Sir, tungkol naman doon sa yung sa sinasabi niyo sa Bayanihan 3, nakikita niyo ba, sir, parang parang style nung COVID dati na mamimigay din talaga nung and magkano yung ayuda na nakikita niyo?
Ang range kasi namin ngayon medyo malayo, no? From a low of 60 billion to a high of 400 billion. Depending on the situation, naggumawa kami ng different scenarios internally. Kaya importante yung National Contingency Plan para mag-synchronize yung aming simulation at simulation ng executive. So, pag ganyan nakalaki ang kakailanganin, kailangan mo talaga magsupport ng budget or bayanihan. Kasi ang bayanihan, maraming laman din yan. Pwede kang magbigay ng loan reprieve, diba credit card nga, binigyan natin ng pwede kang hindi i-charge ng interest for the next 1 or 2 months. So maraming components yan na pag-aaralan mabuti. But in short, ang kaya ino-open up namin yung possibility kung hahaba ito at kakailanganin ng maraming pondo, kailangan tayo mag-supplemental budget.
Sir, ito ano lang, yung ano, kasi di ba may mga restitution pa na ongoing dun sa flood control. Nakikita nyo ba na maganda ring maging source of fund dito, sir?
Nakita ko mga 600 million nalikom na ng DOJ. Pwede rin. Pero pumupunta yan sa Treasury. Pag pumunta sa Treasury, syempre, kailangan mo i-reappropriate yan. Nabasa ko parang 600 million ang nakuha. Baka maliit nga yun kumpara sa laki ng corruption. Pero at least meron.
Okay, sir. Salamat po, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. I think I'm next.
Hi, Tina.
Hi po, sir. Mav is on leave, so pasensya na po, hindi ko po masyadong kabisado yung Senate issues because I'm covering the House. But yesterday, House Ways and Means Chair Miro Kimbo already mentioned the Bayanihan 3. And he said wala raw pong need to get loans for that, to fund that, kasi the government has enough cash. Can you expound on this po? Is this
Okay. Let me just clarify. Sa ngayon, hindi pa natin kailangan mag-supplemental budget o magbayan niya. If you look at all the interventions and subsidies, more or less nasa around 188 billion to 200 billion. More or less, depending on what subsidy you want to give. Pero ang high niyan is around 200 billion. So, in that case, mayroon pa tayong funds to address itong mga subsidies, interventions, and social amelioration. Hindi pa natin kailangan. In an event na humaba, at in an event na tumaas pa yung presyo, kasi may mga, di ba, nakita ko sa news, pati yung Red Sea, sinasara na ngayon. And that's an alternative route for Saudi Arabia to send their petroleum out. Tayo, malaki ang kinukuha natin sa Saudi Arabia. Unioil is owned by Aramco, which is a Saudi Arabian company. Petron, bumibili rin sa Saudi Arabia ng crude. So, kung sinara mo yung Red Sea, di talagang wala nang pagdadaanan kahit anong langis galing ng Middle East. So, yan ang worst case scenario natin. So, kaya kailangan magplano lang tayo eh. And we need to already start kami dito sa Senate, we're already studying all the possible courses of action, the corresponding amounts.
Pero sir, itong isyong ito, have you already discussed this with the concerned chairs of the House, like si Kong Miro or whatever? Kasi next week po, mag-joint committee hearing na yung 13 committees ng House on the Middle East crisis. So may communication na po ba yung Senate and House on this?
Wala naman. I just walang formal communication. Nagkita lang kami ni Congressman Sandro Marcos about this, and nag-usap lang kami tungkol sa direction ng Senate about the oil crisis. At nabanggit ko nga ng bumuo kami ng Protect Committee which conducted 2 hearings. And he's also may mga legislative proposals kami na sang-ayon siya. For example, in our proposal in windfall profits law na ifa-file namin dito, he wants to also file it in the House. So may mga ganyan na informal coordination. But with the chairs of the Appropriations Committee and the Ways and Means, wala pa.
Opo, sir. You mentioned po kanina yung supplemental budget, no? Yung si House Deputy Minority Leader Percy Sandanya of the Akbayan Party List is pushing for a 52.8 billion supplemental budget for PUVs, libreng sakay, farmers, fishermen, and OFWs. If needed, ito po ba immediately doable?
Well, ngayon may 200 billion. So, in my analysis, ang government, ang gobyerno may 200 billion na pwedeng gamitin right away. So, Kung kakailangan more than 200 billion, ang threshold ko kasi 200. Pag kailangan more than that, then we need to do a supplemental budget or a Bayanihan 3, whichever the case may be. So, yun ang threshold na tinitignan namin.
Sir, on the rationing of fuel for non-essentials, may details po kayo on this, like kunyari, private cars, 1 full tank lang per week or something like that?
It's very hard to for us no, sa legislative, it's very difficult to come up with an appropriate mechanism. Pero i-pull out ko lang yung ano ko. Meron kaming study na ginawa. Nagawa ko. So, for example, for example, if you want to extend by end of June, if you want to extend by additional 60 days, kailangan natin mag-reduction in consumption by 50% daily consumption. Kasi right now, we're consuming 55 million liters a day. So, if we want to extend it by 60 to about 90 days, we need to reduce that to about 30 million liters a day, more or less, 50%. So, we have to work back kung ano yung mga i-reduce ng consumption. I don't have that granular data right now. Medyo mapusisi but ang amin is the overall how much reduction do we need. So, ang suggestion namin for the transport sector is 50% reduction on daily consumption. So, yun ang aming suggestion. Of course, you can go more aggressive, but yun ang aming suggestion so that we can extend to up to 60 to 90 days depending kung alin mga sasakyan. Meron kasing, if you look at the composition kasi ng mga sasakyan, marami kasi tayong klaseng sasakyan At we need to study very carefully sino ba yung mga 50% na babawasan. Hindi naman, of course, i-exempt natin yung mga frontliners, ambulansya, police, Coast Guard, bombero, we will exempt them. Yung mga ginagamit ang gasolina for livelihood, of course, mas mataas yung bibigay natin. Kagaya ng PUV drivers, taxi, TNVS, tricycles. Pero yung mga private, especially for leisure, yan, dapat pag-aralan natin ilan ang pwedeng i-cut.
Pero sir, wala pa kayong proposed date ng start nito?
Ako, if you ask me, ASAP Ask me, ASAP para humaba yung ating number of days inventory. When I say ASAP, pag-aralan na natin, how do we monitor? Kasi may mga administrative yan, Tina. For example, on the gas station level, paano mo ma-monitor kung sumusunod sila o hindi? Number 2, paano mo ma-monitor kung nag-hoard yung isang sasakyan o hindi? So, may mga ganun na administrative operational and administrative portions that we need to analyze and implement.
Sir, does this need legislation or executive action na lang po ito?
Executive action pwede nito. Especially meron na tayong executive order.
Okay, sir. Thank you po. I turn over to Mayan.
Hi, sir.
Yes, Mayan.
Sir, sorry, pick up lang ako dun sa rationing. So, tama ba, sir, dahil ang considered po na non-essential ay tayo, na mga private individuals, nang tatamaan ng rationing?
Yeah, private individuals mostly.
Okay. Sir, kaya ba tong saluhin ng public transport natin? Kasi isa sa posibleng maging effect nito, sir, mag-shift na lang yung mga nakakotse to public transport. But right now, sir, di ba, grabe na nga yung pila sa mga LRT, MRT. So, kaya bang saluhin to kung mag-rationing po tayo?
Kailangan ang public transportation natin should keep up. Yung mga MRT, LRT natin na nasa depot nila dapat palabasin lahat. Yung mga sasakyan natin dapat yung mga PUVs, PUJs dapat nagpa-function lahat. So kasi i-compute natin yan eh. Kung let's say sa gobyerno nagpo-4-day work week, yung iba pa nga 1 day a week na pumapasok, so compute natin kung magkano pwedeng ibawas sa gobyerno at irasyon sa gobyerno. So unahin muna natin i-compute sa gobyerno magkano, ano ba irarasyon natin sa gobyerno dahil nag-i-implement tayo ng 4-day work week. Yung ibang private sector na nagpo-4-day work week rin at work from home, so magkano rin ang pwedeng irasyon sa kanila. In fact, in Indonesia, pati private sector naka-4-day work, mandated 4-day work week para hindi lumabas yung sasakyan nila. So we need to compute all of those. But you're right.
Sir, sorry So, dapat po tamaan din yung mga lawmakers like you. Kasi sir, kasi di ba, ang dami pong convoy nung iba.
Yes,
apat,
wag na sila mag-convoy, wag na yung mga hagad-hagad. I think mag-conserve na muna sila, wag na muna mag-hagad-hagad. Yung hagad kasi minsan isang tao pero dalawa yung sasakyan tapos meron pang hagad. So, talagang mauubos yung konsumo natin ng gasolina. So, umpisahan natin sa mga politiko. Doon sa mga naka-hybrid, EV, at least wala na silang problema. Yung mga nasa traditional vehicles, yun ang magiging natin yung ano yung gagawin at magkano yung corresponding budget. Importante kasi corresponding budget eh. Lahat nitong mga action at the end of the day, mayroong budget na kakailangan. So, para in sync lang tayo kung ano yung action, ano yung corresponding budget. But ang plano namin dito sa Protect Committee, every week we'll have a hearing para magkaroon tayo ng updates.
Sir, gano'n lang kahalaga na magkaroon talaga ng unified contingency plan? Even if, nakikita naman natin, sir, kahit paano may kilos naman yung...
Meron, we have to give credit to the executive, lalo sa ating Pangulo kasi first of all, in kanyang regular update, importante yan. Nakukuha natin directly sa kanya. This morning, nakita mo yung update niya. So, importante yung communication. At in fairness, yung mga subsidies, umagalaw, na-address na rin pati yung mga issues ng mga wala sa listahan. So, na-address na rin yun. And maganda rin yung action, for example, ng binabaan ng MRT fares sa PPA, Philippine Ports Authority. Kaya makikita natin yung logistics side, medyo nahuhold pa eh. So, maganda naman yung action ng responses and action ng executive. Of course, ang aking sinasabi lang, let's plan for the worst. Ano pa yung mga ibang scenario na dapat natin tignan?
And ito dapat yung laman ng contingency plan, sir?
Ito kasi are all recommendations from the hearing. Possible, pareho rin yung laman ng contingency plan. Possible yan. But dapat itahi-tahi yan. Kasi for example, I'll give you a very specific example na nakita namin redundant. Yung binibigay ng DSWD tsaka ng Pantawid Pasada. Actually, it's not very clear na kung pareho tao ba ang makakakuha ng ayuda at Pantawid Pasada. Kasi technically, parehong database yan. Hindi, kung pareho lang, di masasayang. Kasi nadodoble-doble. So that's number one. And then number two, ano pa ba yung mga ibang pwedeng gawin ng gobyerno para mabawasan yung logistics cost at hindi mapasa ng mga agricultural companies sa consumer. So, dapat tignan rin yan. So, everything should be coordinated dahil ang binabantayan natin dito yung inflation.
Sir, yung sa Bayanihan 3 lang, sir. Kasi yung Bayanihan 1 and 2, ang yung focus talaga nun, ayuda eh. So,
Yes.
this is also what you can see, sir, sa Bayanihan 3.
Yes,
ayuda.
correct. Actually, yung Bayanihan 1 and 2 is a unique animal. It started as a supplemental budget but it ended up as a unique animal. Daming, pati amendment ng NIRC na meron doon, di ba? Pati Pogo nga meron. So, but in short, ang pinaka essence yun will be a supplemental budget na pwedeng lagyan ng iba pang mga tulong na hindi naman pwede maglagay ng tulong na hindi konektado sa budget.
But sir, tama ba? Hindi pa kailangan to ngayon kasi we still have the 200B.
Yes,
O kailangan na rin talagang hulmahin yung Bayanihan 3, sir?
Hindi pa, pero kailangan na rin pag-aralan. So, pinag-aaralan na namin yan. Right now, kasi tumatagal na eh. We're talking about more than a month na ang situation. And if you follow the situation very carefully, parang hindi siya humuhupa eh, lalong lumalala. No? So, like for example, ang Amerika nagpadala na ng 3,000 ground troops. So, baka humaba pa sa ganung punto. So, we need to just anticipate all of these things.
Sir, last for my part. Sir, yung sinasabi mong high of 400B na kailangan na tulong, sir, na supplemental. Sir, kasama ba dyan, we keep on asking this, ayuda for the middle class, sir? Because many are really asking for this, sir.
Merong kasama dito sa recommendation namin is ayuda or support sa mga minimum wage earners. Ang minimum wage earners kasi kasama rin yan sa middle class. Hindi naman sila nasa below poverty level. But like I said, yung middle class kasi mahaba eh. Malaking spectrum yan eh. So, pwede naman pag-isipan o pag-aralan kung sino yung mga kasali dyan sa middle class.
Okay, sir. That's all for me. Thank you po.
Sir, may pahabol lang ako na isang tanong. Sabi niyo nga kanina, sa halip na humupa, lumalala. So, ibig sabihin, hindi natin pwedeng panghawakan yung sinabi kahapon ni Trump that the war with Iran may be over in 2 or 3 weeks and it will be up to other countries to secure vital Strait of Hormuz oil shipping channel.
Yeah, I hope na mangyari yon kasi ang Iran lumalaban rin eh. No? Parang ang basa ko kasi dito, si Trump parang binibigyan tayo ng parang pinapakalma niya tayo, pero ang Iran lumalaban rin. Just today lang nabasa ko sa news, meron silang isang tanker na binomba. No, I think Kuwait tanker 'yon na binomba. So iba-iba yung messages na nakukuha natin, but in short, ang facts kasi is 51 days lang ang ating inventory right now. Ang facts is nakasecure lang ng additional 10 days. So yan ang ating problema right now. We cannot rely on the lumalabas kay Trump or sa Iran dahil iba-iba yung sinasabi nila. Pero yung facts, talagang 51 plus additional 10 days, 60 days yung ating inventory at walang kasunod. At pag humaba pa yan, then doon tayo magkakaroon ng problema. Kaya dito sa aming recommendations, nakasulat dito yung mga pwede natin gawin at dapat pag-aralan na as early as.
At just in case man, sir, na totoo yung sinabi ni Trump na in 2 or 3 weeks matatapos na yung Iran conflict, hindi pa naman po yun immediately magbubunga ng pagbaba ng presyo ng langis kasi marami hong naapektuhan na source ng langis nitong giyera?
Isa pa yon, no? Kasi nga may mga planta na binomba yung Iran at kahit na huminto yung tama ka, Sally, kahit na huminto yung giyera, for example, yung LNG plant sa Qatar binomba, yung tank farm sa Saudi na bomba. So yan, it will take years to repair. So kailangan din mapag-aralan yung mga nasirang facilities kasi sigurado ako bababa ang supply. Kaya dapat makita rin natin kung gaano kabilis ma-repair yun o kung bumaba yung supply, saan ipapalit.
Okay, sir. Thank you po.
Hello. Wala
Salamat.
na po.
Sir, abo lang ako.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes,
sir, good morning.
Marlon.
Sir, kung maglalasyon na sir ng mga fuel products, di ba lalo siya mag-cause ng panic, ng or even unnecessary fear sa public na baka nga mawala na ng supply tapos lalo mag-hoarding yung tao, magpa-panic buying.
Well, ang facts kasi up to 50 days ang ating inventory. At ang facts hindi natin alam kung ano yung susunod. No? So, dapat pahabain natin yung ating inventory. I know it's unpopular, I know it might cause panic, but kung dumating ang punto na wala tayong papasok na petrolyo, mas malala yung magiging problema natin. So, kailangan mas, kumbaga, pahabain natin yung ating inventory. At umpisahan natin sa mga non-essential activities. So, yun ang nakikita kong paraan para humaba. Kung mayroon tayong mga assurance na makakakuha tayo ng supply for the next after 50 days, then hindi na kailangan mag-ration. Ang problema ngayon, hindi natin alam kung makakakuha tayo. Kaya maraming bansa na, hindi naman tayo lang. No? Yung pinaka-latest nga is ang pinaka-latest ay Indonesia, nagra-ration na sila. And more countries are thinking of this type of intervention. In fact, ang Pilipinas, di rin tayo bago dyan. 1970s, ginawa rin natin.
Sir, since holding yung 2 previous hearings ng Protect, may update na ba sa inyo, sir, si Secretary Garin or any other government officials? Kasi binabanggit yun, yung sense of urgency, hindi niya nakikita. Tapos niremind niya siya na kung maaari, wag na silang matulog para aksyonan itong problema natin.
Red
Since,
Bull.
sir, meron bang regular update sa kanila?
Pinapadalang kami ng updates, mga materials. Like for example, ito, tinitignan ko. Total country natin is 50.9 days. LPG natin, problema, 34 days ang inventory. So, binibigyan kami ng regular updates in terms of inventory and also orders. So, but in orders rin, hindi man ganun ka-substantial yung nakukuha. But in fairness talagang, I know, actually marami rin lumalapit sa akin ng mga traders at alam ko talaga ang DOE is now working overtime to makakuha ng mga orders through G2G activities.